And dogs, thank you so much for coming here for the grand opening of Ellie's Place. This is a big deal. If you're walking on 4 legs, would you come forward? We have a couple more dogs running around. So we're about to open up to public view our new courthouse space. This is a victim service center. We're so excited about it. And we've named it after our first courthouse dog, Ellie. Ellie Ullery was her full name. And so Ellen O'Neill Stevens is up front here with her dog Molly. We have Wilson over here. Is that Rivera? Oh, our newest dog, Rivera. And somewhere here is Errol. Errol coming up front. The reason that we're all so excited about these programs, and the reason that we wanted to remember Ellie, because Ellie was the first courthouse dog. Ellen brought her son's dog, Jeter, around the office, and we realized we have to have a dog. And now 100 dogs later, we have 2 dogs, plus some visiting dogs, so it's all wonderful. Why do we need a dog? Because we have found that when the dogs are here and victims of crime come to our office, that everybody relaxes just a little bit. It's an anti-anxiety therapy to have a dog who understands people and human nature. And Ellie proved to us that we could not do without the presence of a canine companion here in the office. So when we thought about what's going in this side of the courthouse, we wanted to remember Ellie. And I'm sure that Ellie today, her tail is wagging and she's on her back and someone's rubbing her tummy because she's very excited about what's being done in her name. We have behind me, behind this ribbon, 3 very different programs, but programs that are all designed to make our community safer, to support victims, and to bring some dignity and respect to their experience in the criminal justice system. So the 3 different programs we're going to talk about are the brand new Children's Justice Center that will be here. We have a program for civil legal aid for victims of crime called Project Safety. And finally, we have a regional firearm enforcement unit, which is going to be the first of its kind in our state and probably in the nation, and just in time for some of the tragic events that have happened in our country in the last couple of weeks. So 3 very different programs under one big dog. And it's all designed to really help the experience of people who are victims of crime be just a little bit better in King County. One of the people responsible for this is King County Executive Dow Constantine. He's been a real supporter of our ability to get this space and to fund the firearm unit and everything else that we're doing here today. So I want to turn it over for a moment to King County Executive Dow Constantine.
Thank you, Dan. How's everybody doing today? Doing well? You know, before this was home to the county prosecutor, this floor was actually the home to the executive and the county council chambers. This may be the biggest crowd that's gathered here since they held a hearing on whether to create Cedar County. I don't know. It is a remarkable achievement, and I want to congratulate everyone who's brought us to this day. So welcome. It is great to have so many people here to celebrate this special and long-awaited occasion, the official opening and ribbon cutting for Ellie's Place. You know, as executive, one of my top priorities is to encourage and support innovation in government throughout King County. And Ellie's Place is an innovative concept. It was developed and realized through the hard work and seamless integration of numerous government agencies, community partners, and citizens who are passionate about social justice. And as the prosecutor just told you, it will house 3 critical public health functions of King County related to the justice system: support for kids who've been the victims of abuse, a home for our regional domestic violence firearm enforcement unit, and civil aid services for victims of crime. Each of these programs is built on coordination and collaboration across government agencies, including Seattle and King County governments, often with the help of nonprofit organizations and advocates for crime victims. I am dedicated to finding the best ways to ensure King County residents have the opportunity to thrive And Ellie's Place is a perfect example of a regional solution that will do just that. In a few minutes, we're going to hear from the experts about the services that will be provided here. But first, I'd like to extend my thanks to all of our valued partners here today who pitched in to make this concept a reality. The planning, the execution of this project would not have been possible without the formation of significant partnerships and powerful alliances. And King County Prosecuting Attorney Dan Satterberg deserves enormous credit for leading this charge. Charge. You see what I did with that there? Yeah. So we're going to welcome Dan back, and Dan's going to tell you a little more about the story behind Ellie's Place and introduce some of the people who were instrumental in its design. But again, welcome and congratulations to all.
Let's give now a big I want to point out a few people. We had so many people involved in this and some great partners here. But first, I have to say welcome back to Judy Mailing, who's standing right up here. Judy welcomed me into the prosecutor internal family about 28 years ago. She's been a big part of our office and continues to be. It's always wonderful to have you at our major events. So thank you. It's always great to be here. Okay. I want to also notice our brand new sheriff, Mitzi Johankne. And also Mark Garth-Green from the Seattle Police Department here. Thank you. So many great honors. From the City Attorney's Office, Kelly Harris is here, representing King Hall, and a great partner. So among the things that are going on behind this yellow ribbon, which we'll cut in just a few moments, is the realization of a several decade-long dream, which is to have a place where we can receive young people who are victims of crime in the Children's Justice Center of King County. We have, thanks to Lisa Johnson and her vision and dedication, we've been an accredited child advocacy center for a number of years, but we now have an actual place where we can bring victims and their families down for a dignified interview, a forensic interview, but also to pet the dog and to feel like that they are in a place where they're going to get some support and some help during one of the toughest times of their life. And that's really one of the themes of Ellie's Place. Everyone who's going to come here into Ellie's Place is going through one of the toughest times in their life. It might be domestic violence. It might be child sexual abuse. There's so many things that bring people here. They don't want to be here, but once they're here, it's our obligation to make sure that we treat them humanely and with respect and with the dignity that they deserve. That's all going to happen here at Ellie's Place. So now I want to turn it over to Lisa Johnson, who for the last 17 years has been the chair of our Special Assault Unit, who today is going to be able to see her vision of a Children's Justice Center come true.
Thank you. Greetings, everyone. I thank you, and I actually applaud all of you, because your presence today is really a symbol of your commitment to children and families and victims of crime. The Children's Justice Center of King County, that portion of Ellie's Place, is for children and families touched by the criminal justice system. When a family first learns that their child may be a victim of a crime, they're thrust into a system that they don't understand, and they're often in crisis. The first step is often the investigative interview of the child. That interview now will happen here at Ellie's Place in a family-friendly, safe, comfortable, quiet environment with a highly skilled interviewer, state-of-the-art recording equipment so that to avoid multiple interviews of the child. And while this building is historic and has very rich history, I don't think I would particularly call it warm or inviting. If children need to come back to this courthouse, which they might in some circumstances for hearings or for a trial, they'll be able to go to Ellie's Place and be in that safe environment where they feel safer than what the courthouse might have been previously. Ellie's Place has importantly allowed us to co-locate with some of our partner agencies. Victim specialists from Harborview Center for Sexual Assault and Traumatic Stress, legal advocates from the King County Sexual Assault Resource Center, or KSARC, as well as victim advocates from the Seattle Police Department. That means that families are able to speak with professionals on site where they haven't been able to do so in the past. So they can have access to other services to learn from those professionals that are co-located with us about the services that they very much may need in a time of crisis. Not only do the families benefit, but we all benefit as our partner agencies in a multidisciplinary setting, we're co-located together. Ellie's Place is just one more step in King County's long history, very long history of commitment to children who are the victims of abuse. To Norm Mailing. And many here today. I can't see all of you. I saw Lucy Berliner back there in the crowd, who had the vision years ago to recognize that cases involving children need a coordinated community response. And they need protocols to establish best practice. And to our community partners, Harborview, KSARC, the Attorney General's Office, our medical community of Children's and Harborview, to all of our law enforcement partners in King County, but specifically to the King County Sheriff's Office, to the Seattle Police Department, and the Bellevue Police Department. As Dan indicated, we were accredited as, nationally accredited as a child advocacy center in 2011 with their assistance. The partners all came together to form really a virtual CAC at that time. This is the first step perhaps toward, it's our step toward co-location for those particular agencies. So the Children's Justice Center of King County was born, and we achieved national accreditation, which means we are the gold standard for the investigation of child abuse cases. It's through the funds based upon our accreditation and through the dedication of all our partners who I know are out there that Ellie's Place has become a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. So one of our goals of Ellie's Place is that when victims of crime come in through those doors and they come into our system, that when they leave, that they're in a better place. That after their case is over, that they're stronger, that they're on the road to recovery. And we realized a few years ago that one of the things that could really help that is to have an attorney in their corner fighting for their rights. And I'm so excited to announce this is also the home of a program we call Project Safety. Project Safety is a collaboration with 5 different civil legal aid groups, it's going to be, they'll be housed here, at least one person will be here at all times, so that deputy prosecutors who are working with victims in domestic violence cases and sexual assault cases, and they realize that people have unmet, critical, urgent legal needs that we can't solve as criminal prosecutors, will be able to walk downstairs and introduce them to somebody who can help them. It's a big deal. It's something I wish we had done 20 years ago, but the timing is always what it is. This is funded from a Office of Crime Victim Association, or Crime Victim Witness money, came into the state, and our next speaker really helped us put a vision behind this. I'd like you to welcome Jim Bamberger, as the Director of the State Civil Legal Aid Association.
Thank you, Dan. It's really an honor to be here to celebrate the opening of Ellie's Place. And before I speak, the few words that I have to share with you, I'd like to thank you, Dan, for your visionary leadership, your team for their leadership, all of the partners here, the King County Exec, King County Council, and everybody who's worked hard to make Ellie's Place a reality. Our legal system is full of silos. And more often than not, the silos adversely affect the ability of people, and particularly victims of crime, to get the justice that they not only need, but deserve. Our law enforcement and criminal justice system work in one silo. Our civil justice system works in another silo. As justice system leaders, we have a responsibility to stand in the shoes of the victims and to provide seamless transfer of responsibility from the criminal justice system through the civil justice system so that people can get to the place that they need and move beyond their victimization. Project Safety was conceived as a bridge for victims of domestic violence and sexual assault so that they can secure the continuum of legal support that they need to hold perpetrators accountable, to secure short-term safety for themselves and their families, and then to achieve long-term outcomes that protect themselves, their families, and position themselves to move effectively beyond their victimization. Project Safety effectively marries the capacity of the King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office and the civil legal aid community. Through Project Safety, we can offer seamless transition from the criminal justice system to the civil justice system in ways that work directly for victims. Project Safety is a model partnership, one that will continue to deliver meaningful and effective outcomes for victims. We are so pleased to be a part of the services that will be arrayed and housed at Ellie's Place. Thank you again for being here. Thank you all for conceiving the partnership between the civil and the criminal. Thank you.
Now, the final program I want to highlight is one that, quite frankly, comes out of the tragedies that we see way too often in our country. And I don't know about you, but I've been especially moved by the reaction of the young people from the Parkland, Florida, from the high school shooting there, how they've stood up and said, this has got to stop, this has got to end. And one of the things that we see in the aftermath of every mass shooting is is that people start talking about the shooter and say, well, yeah, there were red flags. We knew he was going to be the guy. We knew that he was doing things, saying things. He was fixated or infatuated with murder or with firearms. We knew this was going to happen. And often the response is, well, why didn't you say something? And we have this code now that we believe in here. It goes back to the terrorist attack of 9/11. If you see something, say something. And that's a good code to live by, but the part of that, it has to be a corollary that someone's going to listen. You have to see something, say something, and then do something. Somebody has to do something with that information. Well, here in Washington State, we passed, with the help of our next speaker, the Extreme Risk Protection Order Act back in the 2016 election. And what that does is it allows people who have concerns about a loved one in their family or someone that they know or maybe someone they're going to school with who's doing things and saying things that make them think that maybe this person poses an extreme risk to public safety. Here in Washington, here in King County, here in Ellie's Place, we're going to react to that. We're going to have a team, thanks to the City of Seattle and King County leaders. We have stepped up with $1 million and a 12-person team that's going to be ready to respond to those kinds of tips that we get from the public. We're going to be able to go and help families or law enforcement go to the court and seek an extreme risk protection order that will disarm that person, at least temporarily, so we can get to the root of what the problem is. It's also going to be there for domestic violence civil orders, domestic violence criminal no contact orders. We have here in King County, Washington, the only team of its kind in this state, and maybe the only team of its kind in the nation, that's going to be doing this full time to make sure that people who have guns, who shouldn't have guns, are giving those guns up. We're going to work with the Sheriff's Department, with the Seattle Police Department. They'll each have dedicated units. I want to also acknowledge retired Judge Ann Levinson, who's quietly standing here, but she hasn't been quiet for the last year. She has been the moving force. Removing guns from dangerous people is one of those things that's a lot easier to say than it is to do. But we're going to do it, and we're going to prove here in King County that we can be a national model, that this can be done, that when you see something and you say something, that the authorities can do something and will do something to make us all safer. I would like to introduce to you Renee Hopkins, who is the Executive Director of the Alliance for Gun Responsibility. She's been a driving force behind many of our reforms here in Washington State, and she's been a big advocate for the Regional Firearm Enforcement Unit. Renee?
Thank you so much, Dan. I really appreciate that. So as Dan said, I think on a lot of our minds today in our country is this issue of firearms being in the wrong hands and the amazing devastation that can happen when they are in the wrong hands. And I really have to applaud what has happened here in King County in partnership with the City of Seattle, with leaders from law enforcement and the courts and the prosecutors, taking a stand and saying we don't have to let these instances happen. Really finding the courage and the ability through hard work. It wasn't just 1 year with Ann Levinson, it was 2. Leading a process to dig into our system and figure out how we can be proactive about removing guns from the most dangerous hands. And those dangerous hands include people that are in crisis and at risk of harming themselves or others. It also includes domestic abusers. We know that there's a great intersection of domestic abuse and gun violence. And that when we go to the source and figure out how to keep guns out of domestic abusers' hands, not only are we saving the lives of women and children who they are directly impacting, but we're also preventing potential mass shootings. And that is something that we all have to take very, very seriously. So I just want to say on the behalf of the Alliance for Gun Responsibility that we are so proud to be in a state and in a county that is leading the way. This is a one-of-its-kind unit. There's not another one like it in the entire country. And we've already seen that they are increasing the number of guns recovered from the most dangerous hands. So thank you to Dan for your leadership in that. Thank you to Ann Levinson for leading the process. And thank you to the leaders in law enforcement and the City of Seattle, Peter Holmes, who couldn't be here today, for really charging the way and becoming a national model for what we know we can do. Thank you.
Well, just a couple more details before we go. There are cookies on the table, and nature's perfect food, in my view, is the chocolate chip cookie, but please don't feed them to the dogs. The dogs have their own special Ellie's Place. Dog Ellen, would you like to come forward? And because we have I think each of our four-legged friends has their own specially wrapped dog bone. Don't eat the ribbon, by the way. Anyway. So we'll let the dog handlers feed their dogs the cookies for the rest of you. And a couple more people I want to acknowledge. First of all, Maureen Galloway has been a driving force here, putting us together. Maureen has to come forward. She's been in our office now for about 45 years. Yes. Is that right? 45 years, just getting warmed up, just getting started. But this is really a testament to her extreme capacity for work and organization and vision and making things happen. The other person I need to turn this over to is David Martin, who's the head of our domestic violence inspection, and so much more.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan. Is Elaine Irwin and Amanda Clausen, are you both here? Could you come forward for a moment, please? So we owe great thanks to Amanda and Elaine, who are from an architecture firm, Bassetti Architects, and they volunteered their time to help us put together Ellie's Place. And they were great guides, and they made wonderful choices for us. Who knew that you could put different colors on the wall with the county, but you can. And really, so much time and so much effort, and it was such a great experience to work with you both. Thank you so very much for what you gave to Ellie's Place. Thank you.
Okay. All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Ellie's Place.